Good morning, traders. I hope you're well this fine sunny September morning. My name is Nishal Patel, and I'm going to be guiding you through the update for today on Thursday, the 1st of September. There's a fair amount going on right now, especially with the dollar strength in play, and there's a surge of it. So I think the best thing for us to do is go straight to the charts and really find out what's going on. So the first chart we're going to have a look at right now is the euro. Right now the euro is floating at 1.1135 circa, coming down to this daily S1 level right now. This is a 4 hourly time frame, as we can see, off this lovely high test bar, breaking my trend channel. Unfortunately, not triggering me into a trade. I had a entry point on one of my accounts at 1177 or 78, displayed on by this horizontal red line across my chart. Unfortunately, didn't get triggered into that last night. Here is the daily time frame, so we can have a clearer picture on what's really been happening. And please note, since last week, and most importantly, since the speech from Yellen last week at Jackson Hole, the markets have been very, very buoyant on the side of the greenback. We've seen a surge in dollar strength. As predicted, Monday was a little lack of void. Was a little void and lacking liquidity across many of our currencies. We saw a small amount of adverse movement on a couple of the commodities, and then Tuesday really kicked in, and we started to see movement on the side on the strength of the dollar. We see the euros moving right now. Euro is looking really good, quite easy for a nice shorting potential. We've been shorting it pretty much from Tuesday onwards, Tuesday and yesterday, and we saw it pull back ever so slightly towards the end of the closing of the European session yesterday, which we'll be able to see on an hourly time frame. Please note, I am using this Euro chart because it allows us to be able to see pretty much all movement that's happening on the FX markets, purely for the fact that the euro is the most traded currency pair. Please remember that it's traded a hell of a lot more than most other currency pairs. So we saw a slight correction or pullback towards the end of the European session, and that was after a low being hit on the euro, as being displayed right now at 1122. Steadily on its way there right now, just about 10 pips up from yesterday's low. So looking to most certainly break that low, and I think it's gonna make very easy work of it. Probably see a small amount of, or a certain amount of resistance and support at that S1 level, but probably project it to get down to that S2, and most certainly we've been projecting it to get down to this 1.1048 level, and that was initially my target off that entry point that I had at 1177. Probably try and find an intraday way in. Moving on forward, I think the next place we should have a look at is the yen. Now, in fact, just before I go on to the end, just want to have a quick talk about the euro and how the strength of the greenback is obviously taking the short. But please note that we are expecting a certain amount of quantitative easing and from the ECB. So, you know, we should expect a devaluation of the euro anyway. So we've got twofold reason for the euro really to be falling. The yen right now is marching its way back to 10533. Have been expecting or looking for it to get back up to that 10533. A lot of the protege delegates and members have taken an entry point initially a few days back on this, back to that level, and then we'll make an assessment as what to do at that point. For me, myself personally, it looks like a great opportunity for a reversal or a trend reversal, looking for a potential trend reversal on this weekly time frame, building up the structure of this double bottom. So that's quite interesting there, and especially with the strength of the greenback, I think we should most likely see it head that way right now. Moving on forward, I think we can get to either Brent or WTI. In fact, just have a look at WTI first, because I've done a lot more analysis on this. We have seen this particular commodity start falling in recent days, despite announcements from OPEC on production freeze of oil in Iraq. Please note, I think that's a bit of a distorted stat, and I think that the whole market was able to see through that very easily, remembering that Iraq is nowhere near pre-war production levels. So yeah, an output or a cap on how much Iraq is producing, it definitely really isn't going to make too much difference to our price. I have been seeing it fall from its high that it's hit close to the $49 a barrel. Floating at just below 45 right now, finding resistance and support on this daily time frame off that 44, 47. We do have a cluster of very strong moving averages, got 100, 200 moving average. After a test of that level, just propping up just above that that 100 EMA. Today's daily bar is pretty much at that right now. We do have some Fibonacci channels that it's paying attention to, so we're going to see how that pans out. Probably not expecting that to make any wild movements. Remember, we did have crude inventories yesterday out from the US, and that really hasn't helped too much in oil changing or gaining price again and appreciating. Let's also not forget, with appreciation of the dollar, we should see a slide in many commodity prices as well, because it obviously costs a lot more on the dollar to purchase that particular commodity, and we should see the same thing on silver. Silver is something that we are potentially looking for a shorting opportunity on, but not quite there for us to be able to look and force through trades. But here is gold. Here it's quite an interesting one, because we're sitting at the 1300 mark right now on gold, coming back into that area of action for us, into that 1281 region, breaking that 1319, and that was a really big one for me. Breaking that 1319, probably look to see a test of that prior to it start moving, but definitely this indication, or this high test bar there that we had, obviously off the back of last Friday, has turned the price of this particular commodity down. We have had other fundamental data helping it up, but let's not forget, this is the strength in the USD. Moving swiftly onto a couple of the indexes. Yesterday, the S&P had closed just above that 2174 level, really being magnetized on that level for well over a month and a half right now. So after breaking that level back in early August, we haven't really seen a major move up and above it, which a lot of people probably were expecting, and to see new highs being created almost every other week. Price action's really come down, and as you've seen before, and you've seen a lot of these levels on previous morning updates, or even for the Protrade delegates, the videos that they're receiving. They know about these levels that most certainly that are on this chart in particular, and price action just literally coming up, floating off them, and just sitting just above that level right now. Pre-market trading's at 21.76.2. The FTSE right now. Let's have a quick look at how the FTSE is doing. Here's FTSE on the daily. Again, same thing. Price action really has come back down, and has tested that 6775. Remember, we've seen a risk-off sentiment, especially off the back of the data, and investors are a little cautious right now, especially with a rate hike coming in. We saw the Asian market first at the turn of the week play along to a potential rate hike and start moving away from investing in equities, and thus it's having a knock-on effect onto the indices. many people are potentially looking for a head and shoulders pattern. I think the structure of that isn't too clear, so I wouldn't be looking for a simple break of a neckline. I'm not really too keen on the structure and the look of a supposed pattern on this particular index. And then moving on to another one we've been having a look at just before we wrap up for today and discuss potentially what we're looking at is cable. So let's have a quick look at how cable's doing right now. So we just move over to that. This is a 15-minute chart, so we're just going to move over to slightly larger time frame, just so we can see a broader perspective of what's really happening. Cable really has not hasn't been doing much over the last few days, despite the dollar strength. We did see a very good movement on cable on a number of occasions, and we've taken a few trades and banked profits on cable on the short side. But they have stopped out after management of our stops. So breaking obviously the stops have been moved past entry points, and we've been banking profits, knowing that this particular currency pair hasn't been moving too quick, too fast, unlike a lot of the other currency pairs that are there. Potentially in a remit of being able to move right now. Please remember, we do have some data out today. We have some key data, in fact, on GBP. The first of which is PMI, which is coming out at 9:30 a.m. Local time for us, and then we've got a spate of announcements from the USD. Let's not forget it's NFP week. We did have data out yesterday, but we've got a continuation of that data coming out from unemployment claims, which is going to be quite interesting to see later on at 1:30 p.m. And then obviously we have the PMI or ISM manufacturing PMI figures, I should say, coming out at a similar time. And why it's very interesting, a lot of these announcements and how they should pan out. I think many investors are more in the know of what this data is going to present this week than on previous NFP weeks. We have had a lot of data indicating that the US is doing really well, especially in terms of employment and wage levels. So a number of Fed officials, in particularly the Fed chair, came out at the start of the week, straight after convening Jackson Hole on Saturday. Had come out and said that the US effectively is operating at full employment and wages are up quarter on quarter. So that is a very strong statistics on the employment side, especially as the fact that inflation is closer to their target as well. So what it shows us is the state of the US economy is doing really well, and especially with tomorrow's NFP and the data that's coming out on the NFP. I think any data that really agrees and testifies to the same fact that a few of the officials from the Fed, and in particular a lot of the professional traders globally, are thinking will just inadvertently lead to a rate hike in September rather than pushing forward. And I think the Fed will have to action this hike in September, at the meeting in September, rather than waiting till November or potentially December for the second hike. So it's going to be quite interesting. Probably see a lot of movement. So we are going to. I have no doubt whatsoever that tomorrow's data, as soon as it comes out, we are going to see movement, and I think we're going to see a very strong case on the USD. So please be aware of it. I know a lot of our traders are going to be staying out of it and letting the markets pan out because there is going to be a lot of adverse movement. I would suggest likewise for many people out there, remember it's always best to be safe, and then still know that you can get onto a good, nice, quality trade and trade with absolute certainty, even after strong erratic movements have happened, you're still going to be able to make a good return in a safe and disciplined manner. So that's me wrapping up for today. I hope you've enjoyed this morning's update, and please keep following us on our YouTube channel, alternatively on our social media, to find out further updates. Until next time, traders, happy trading. Bye bye.